Hello there. This is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. These are the coffin boxes that we'll be making. I threw them up on the blog yesterday, and this box here is different than the one I shown on the blog, but that one is the same, and I thought that I would go ahead and make them for you for today's video because they're just the cutest things in the world. And I gave one to one of my cousins and he loved it. So we are going to be using Wonderfully Wicked and the Monster Bash suite that you have there. And that is a look at our box, and they're good size boxes, and all the measurements and everything will be over on the blog at cindybdesigns.com. That's what they look like opened up, and they are 1.25 inches deep, so you can get a lot of candy in there, as you're going to see as the video progresses. So there's our die sets, the ornate frames, and the Wonderfully Wicked. We're not going to use the Raven. I thought I might try to get it in, but I didn't. Okay, those are the coffin boxes, and that's what they look like before I get the adhesive on. And you want to use tear and tape because you can see exactly where the adhesive goes, and I'm leaving it out there a little bit longer so you can look. And I like to take my bone folder and just run the bone folder along the tape to get it, on the paper. It's an erotic thing. So I'm bringing in my stamp apparatus, and I want to take our sentiment to the first box that we'll be creating, and that's the one with a label on it that says "Have a Spectacular Halloween," where the edging is gold to it. So I'm stamping that up twice, and Jezebel's back in here with me with black ink. She's always in here with me all the time. So I'm bringing in the Big Shot, and that's the little spider die from Wonderfully Wicked, and I do end up using a different color paper, but if I had to do it all over again, I would want to use silver foil sheets. I did the glimmer there, then realized I might have a little bit too much glimmer with the Wicked word because we're going to be doing a watercolor technique directly onto that paper there. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything die cut out, and that's what the little spiders look like. So I want to get my sentiment down now of "Have a," and then the center will say "Wicked" from the die cut, and then "Good Time." So I have some basic gray cardstock, and that is cut down to, I'm going to measure it here for you real quick since I have it in front of me. That's a 1/2 inch wide, and I just went ahead and cut the length to whatever because I know I'm going to go ahead and cut that up, but I also wanted to make sure that I was able to get my little spiderweb stamp on there. So I'm going to ink up the second part of that sentiment. I did not in black ink. I didn't have to cut it apart because it does come like that, so you can use the dies and different words to it. So here we have our Monster Bash DSP, and the DSP on the right, that is cut to 1 inch thick, and I'm taking the Starburst punch, and I want to get that little Starburst circle there with some crushed curry on it, and that is the Banner triple punch, and I just wanted to banner that in real quick. I have the new Delicata gold ink that I'm taking around the Starburst punch and the die cut from Ornate Frames from the Monster Bash suite, and I'm measuring to see where I want to get that banner down. So I'm flipping it over, I'm taking a pencil, and I'm going to mark it, then bring in the Stampin' Trimmer, which the new one is out, by the way, but only for demonstrators. If you want one, contact me and I'll let you know how to get one. So I cut it down to where it line up with the top of the box, and I'm putting some tear and tape on the back now, and I'm using my bone folder just to give that DSP just a little bit of flow and rhythm to it. And right now is going to be the assembly process a little bit. What you want to do, this is the cardstock, it's at least, or the boxes are, it's at least the same as Whisper White, which is 100 pound. These may be 105. I haven't researched it. The company hasn't told me yet. It could be on the label of the factory shrink wrap when they come packaged, but you know, I tossed mine. I didn't look. So you want to get all those creases in, and they already come pre-cut and pre-scored for you. So that's how the box is going to get thrown together there. And I'm showing you right now because it's really self-explanatory and easy. The edges line up perfectly. So I'm going to let you go ahead and view the rest of this process, and then we'll move on. So now I've brought in the Golden Glitz Delicata ink, which is new in the Stampin' Up! 2019 holiday catalog. And I am going to just be rubbing that along all the edges to dirty up the coffin, you know, give it that antique-y old look. I mean, it's been in the ground. So I'm just trying to give it a little bit of a realistic look. Now, with the top, I decided to put it through that stylish scroll folder. That was a mouthful. If you're going to use an embossing folder on any part of your coffin, especially the top, because you're going to see me struggle to fold the crease lines here, you want to fold your crease lines before you emboss it, because the embossing just really trashes the crease lines, and I'm glad that I was able to find them. But you know, I'm struggling, as you can see, and it took a little while. And later on in this video, for our second coffin box, I'm going to put that together as for you as well, because I feared it might be a little bit difficult to see with my big fingers and with just the design of the box. And that way you might be able to get a little bit more clear shot of it. You know, not to mention my butter fingers don't help. But that embossing really broke down the cardstock, and it made it a little bit difficult. Would I do it again? Yes, I would, because it has a fantastic look. But I would go ahead and make sure to take my bone folder to those crease lines first to have my lid work out, you know, which it did in this case. But for this particular design, would I do it for the top of that box? Probably not, because right up ahead there, I think, no, that's the ink pad. I was going to say, we're going to wrap some ribbon around the top of that box there, which actually helps strengthen it up now that I'm looking at it a little bit more. So yeah, I kind of take back a little bit of what I said, but yeah, I would definitely do it again. But you can see how pretty that gold embossing looks up against that stylish scroll folder. And not gold embossing, but you know, the inking, which is kind of giving me an idea for another project right now. They'll probably be popping up. So I'm grabbing our scallop ribbon and cut a length to fit around the top. And I want that to really stay down to the box. I didn't use any liquid glue on this. Like I said, I really recommend tear and tape. No liquid glue, no snail glue dots when you're putting this together, because your candy is going to have some weight to it that you put in the box. So I put tear and tape all down that ribbon. And now I want to pull the backing of the tear and tape off. That is the back of the box, or the bottom of the coffin lid, and that's where I'm going to be putting my ribbon. And I'm just going around the box, lining up the ribbon, pulling the backing of the tape off as I go around the box and wrap it all the way around. I do have a little bit of overhang, but it worked out. and it blends in so well with the box. So there's my Hershey's Kisses, and then I get all OCD and take out the purple because there is no purple anywhere in that box, and you know your candy has to match the box, and that's what we look like. So we're going to assemble it now, and I'm putting on that banner down the center and use my thumb just to get that tear and tape to adhere really well. I'm using snail for the newsprint DSP from Monster Bash, and then for our label from Ornate Frames, I'm putting that down. And then I'm grabbing those adorable little enamel dots and decided to use a tombstone this time rather than a raven. And that big pumpkin pie sequin is left over from a paper pumpkin kit, and again, that's why I'm really into them. This is our next box, but we're going to be changing the wicked part. And this is part of our technique. We're going to be watercoloring using a pumpkin pie re-inker and a Cajun Craze re-inker directly onto our shimmer cardstock. Now, what's really important to know about this here, you see my cup of water up there, is that I'm struggling to get that down. It's not soaking in. I don't have enough water. I did have to add another layer of watercolor wash to this that I don't show on screen. But what I did do was I took my spritzer, which is always filled with water, and I sprayed the glimmer paper first, and then I laid down the ink like I am now, and it went on. It flowed on. I don't recommend taking your heat tool to this to dry it even on the first setting because it really kills the color, and I know I've talked about this before. So I let this dry overnight after I applied the second coat to it, and that's what we're looking like. So now I want to combine the Cajun Craze and the pumpkin pie to get like an ombre die cut for that wicked, and you can kind of see it. My tabletop is wood. I don't recommend doing that. It took some elbow grease to get that out. But that's why this part of everything is taking so long, is because I did not use the water. So I had to get our little spider web on there from the top of the box so I could go ahead and assemble it. And this is where I'm putting the box, or you know, the top of it together so you can see it without all that embossing. So you can see that it does go together very easy. And I just make sure that I pinch my corners together. They're going to line up perfectly for you every single time. So that's never a worry at all. But take your time and get your, boxes right. You can't mess them up, but you know what? I could, because that's just how I go. So now I have some craft ink, some Whisper White craft ink that I've put into our re-inkers and another sponge dauber, and I'm making this one look old and decrepit and dirty and everything else as well. And I'm not paying too much attention doing that. And that's what that looks like. And I just think it gives like a really cool look. Once again, I'm bringing back in that scalloped basic black ribbon, which does come in the Monster Suite, or the Monster Bash product suite. And I'm just going to cut off enough so I can tie the bow. And of course I had to fill it with candy first. And that does help weigh it down a little bit when you go and tie that bow, which is going to be a bad bow, by the way, because you know I can't do this stuff on screen very well at all. So I end up taking it off screen to get the bow tied. So now I brought in our sentiment strip there, and I'm going to cut that up and place it on the box. Just a little bit of the bottom of it is underneath the ribbon, and this is where I'm kind of lining it up And you want to do this too, because I want to get that little spider image on the right side of it. So I took my pencil again and marked it, and then I cut that off screen, and I'm inking my spider web image up with a craft ink. And then I just took my snips and cut that. I'm going to get that adhered down eventually. And I do put the ends get inked up like right there in a little bit of white, just to make it look consistent. So there we have part of our sentiment on, and that's what our box is looking like. This is what our glimmer paper turned out. The box looks better. It was the lighting when I filmed this, and I start to put it through and then remember, okay, with something like this, I like to use wax paper just to help me get the image out a little bit, because that cardstock has been worked with. There's been ink thrown on it. There's been a water pet on it. It's a glitter cardstock, which already has some nice thickness to it. Plus, I put one of our old adhesive sheets on the back of it too, so that way I could adhere directly to the top of the coffin box. So now I'm being very careful taking that die out, because some parts of it are very intricate, like where the W is and maybe the bottom of the E. And I am going to slow the video down a little bit now, because we're down to a couple minutes. And I've already pulled off the backing of that, but I can't have that D hanging over like that. But I'm still trying to get the good time to show up. So right about now I'm getting a little bit discouraged, and I thought, these are going to my kid cousins. They are not going to care if they don't see a good time all the way. So I took my embossing buddy to de-stickify, so to speak, parts of the D and the W, so it's not all sticky. I am pulling my little spiders off from my roll of glue dots, and I'm going to be placing them on the coffin. And I was all butterfingers, maybe because my hands were freezing, because we had a 30-degree temperature drop in a day. It was like 90 on Wednesday. Today's Friday, it's 55, and it is horribly, horribly cold. But those are our boxes, and the other one will be brought in. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope that you enjoy these projects. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, please leave them. Also, please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to contact me over that new Stampin' trimmer. I will have a newsletter coming out. Don't forget to stop back by next week, and I will see you next week for another video as well. God bless, and have a fantastic weekend.